Hey everybody, welcome back to Cody Tarot. I'm your tarot reader, Cody. So for today's pick a card, I wanted to do a really quick, just a quick overview of married life with your future spouse. So today we'll be covering kids, where you guys will live, and your love language with each other. And so also I want to just point out that this is going to be kind of like a brief overview of all three sections. I do have readings on my channel that go more in depth of these different topics. Like I have one for your future children. I also have one where you will live. But yeah, I'll link those below in the description box. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the reading. Yeah, I'm really excited for this reading today. I'm just in the mood to film one tonight, to be honest. And I was thinking, like, we haven't done a married life one in a while. So that's what we're here tonight to do, or today, or this morning, whenever you guys are watching this. It is nighttime where I'm filming. But yeah, let's get into the groups today. We have 4 groups in front of us. Our first group we have is this rose quartz stone. That's group 1. Group 2 is this spirit quartz. That's group 2. Group 3 is this clear quartz. And last, group 4 is Heliodor. So with that said, you can take all the time you need to pick your crystals. Please feel free to pause the video here if you need to select your crystal. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to pick your crystal. Whatever, or pick your pile, group, whatever way it works for you is the correct way to do it. Yeah, so let's see. Let's get into the reading, starting with group number 1 with the rose quartz. Hey, group 1, this is if you picked the rose quartz, this lovely stone right here. Fun fact, because I have access to my analytics on my YouTube channel, not a lot of people pick this stone. So if you are one of these people that picks this rose quartz pretty often, you're in the minority. I don't know what that means. Maybe that just means you're a very unique person, very rare type of personality. I don't know. But let's get into your reading. So we have these animal oracle cards that I'm going to be drawing to represent you and your person. Okay, let's see. For the rose quartz group, group 1, we need a card to represent their future spouse, who they will be marrying. This card wants to come out. We have Rhino Spirit, overcome any obstacle. And the card for you guys, we have Stag Spirit, take the lead. Wow, I'm already getting like power couple vibes. We're gonna pull these whispers of love. This is gonna be your guys' love language, or how you kind of communicate love to one another. And I'm going to try to read these cards together to the best of my ability. Oftentimes with these cards, I read them separately as if you're each doing your own love language. But I'm going to try to read them together in this group to see what your kind of love language is as a couple. So let's see. We have one for Rhino Spirit. We have spiritual connection. A relationship has a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. And the one we have for Stag Spirit is, I love you. These are powerful words. Wow. Put those right there. And now I want to get cards for your future children and where you'll live. I'm actually going to be doing like kind of like a double meaning with these cards. So for example, as I pull the cards, I'm going to be doing future children with the tarot card, and I'm basically going to take the tarot cards and kind of your children, like the way the animals are, to like see where you guys will live too. So let's get into that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing these other animal oracle cards to represent your children and where you will be living. I just saw, you know, as I shuffle, sometimes the card goes like that, but then flips right back in. I just saw Dragonfly Spirit. Oh, and it's on the bottom too, Dragonfly right there. I'm actually going to pull that card just because I saw it twice. I'm going to take it for your first child. And we'll see what else comes out. With Dragonfly coming out first, I feel like this will probably be your oldest child or the child that takes the lead in the family amongst the siblings. We also have Starfish and Tarantula. And we also have Scorpion. Now here's the thing about, I'm pulling 4 like possible children for this group. This can also, I'm also taking these cards to represent a pet or an animal companion, if your guys' family has an animal companion or something like that. Let's see if we, yeah. But you can also think of these children cards as like possibilities for children that you could have, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like your Dragonfly is most likely probably going to be the oldest child because that was the card that came out to lead. So it's most likely you'll have this child if you're going to have children. But it's like these other ones could be possibilities of children you could have. So keep that in mind. Depending on like how many children you end up having, you know, that's always up to you guys. Let's see. And then I'm going to pull the Light Seers cards for places where you guys will live, or and we have 4 cards, perfect. And we have 7 of Cups, 6 of Wands, and the Hermit. You know, I'm not surprised that the 6 of Wands came out with the Starfish because honestly, they both are very similar cards. I feel like Starfish, I always imagine the Starfish card as a very popular person, very charismatic. And 6 of Wands, you know, is that Leo charismatic energy of like popularity and accomplishment and all of that. So you might have a popular child on your hands. I'm also going to roll the Astro Dice just because I have a little more space on the table and my intuition's telling me to fill it with these Astro Dice. I'm going to roll these Astro Dice as far as like collective energies that are going to be in your married life or your family life. And I'll be kind of relating them to different things, but these are going to be like strong influences as far as like what's going on in your life. We have Mars, Virgo, and the 9th house. I'm feeling called to take this reading in chunks. So first I'm going to talk about you and your spouse. So first of all, we have Rhino Spirit, overcome any obstacle, and Stag Spirit, take the lead. We have 2 5s in these cards. And I'm seeing this as kind of like how you will meet this person. With the 5s being a card of adventure or travel or change, I'm seeing that you possibly could meet this person on a trip, or there's some kind of situation where either you're both on a trip or you're taking a trip together, or one of your pivotal moments in your kind of connection is this aspect of taking a trip. We also have the 9th house, which is relating to Sagittarius, so another aspect of travel and expansion in this kind of connection. I definitely feel like these 5 energies are giving me very Sagittarius vibes as far as like the location or the way that you guys will meet, or a big kind of theme in your kind of connection. So you might actually discuss past places you've visited or you've traveled to or you've experienced. There might be that kind of vibe in this connection. With the Stag Spirit, take the lead in 8 over here. I'm seeing that that you, on one hand, are represented by this 8 number and they're represented by this 0. So it's interesting. On one hand, with Stag Spirit, take the lead, I see that you're very abundant as a person, or you have this way of kind of creating kind of the best way to describe it is like an energy vortex of like positive energy like within yourself, and it kind of just cycles through within you, if that makes sense. So you kind of are a self-contained vessel of like positivity. It's kind of how I'm seeing that too. And we take the lead here with Stag Spirit. I am saying that you are more of a leader type or more of a assertive type of person. With the 8 here too, this could represent some controlling behavior. So you might actually, people might have told you in the past that you have more of a controlling personality, or you like to be in control of situations or something like that. We see that again here with the Mars energy. I definitely see that there is kind of like an element that in your relationship with this Rhino person, I feel like both of you are very strong personalities. And so with this aggressiveness, right, this is kind of one of those things where your relationship could get at points like kind of get aggressive with each other, or not to the point of like fighting or anything like that, or really detrimental like blowouts with your spouse, but I definitely see an element of aggressive playfulness between both of you. So for example, that could lead to really amazing sex. Like your sex life could be really amazing. And it's interesting because we had a lot of kids come out like right away. So you have to might want to worry about like, you might have to worry about being fertile or something like that. I don't see you guys kind of like, as far as like having children, that being like too big of an issue. I see you guys as very like, what's the word, virile, like people. Let's see. So overcome any obstacle, Rhino Spirit. Your person is kind of represented by this person who can overcome anything. Like no matter what gets in their way, they can overcome it. It's interesting because the Stag Spirit and the Rhino Spirit, both of them have horns. The Rhino Spirit has a horn towards like their nose or their front of their face, and the Stag Spirit has horns coming out of their like crown chakra, essentially. So I do see that both of you have different ways of navigating the world. So for example, your spouse, on the other hand, has this way of like kind of sniffing out opportunities or something like that. There's this way of kind of like leading with like a forward motion that kind of like is kind of like pointing the way, if that makes sense. And then on your hand, we have the Stag Spirit. This is kind of reminding me of the crown chakra and the fact that your leadership vibes are actually divinely guided from a higher power. So it's almost one of those things where I feel like you guys know this. It's like when you guys are in the lead, or when you're being the leader, or when you're showing the way to other people, it's like only good things happen, if that makes sense. Like you never get into a situation where you've taken the lead and like it turned out negatively, right? It's always like the universe has always kind of rewarded you with taking the lead. It's like, okay, when you step up to the plate, when you take the lead, when you take on this responsibility, then you get a kind of reward. The beautiful thing about this is the way I'm seeing this kind of interaction, right, is with Stag Spirit and Rhino Spirit. I'm seeing that Stag Spirit is kind of the person who's giving orders, who's kind of like taking the lead in the relationship. And then Rhino Spirit is the person who like overcomes the challenges, right? So Stag Spirit person might lay down some challenges for this person to overcome, and the Rhino Spirit just like takes them on or overcomes any obstacle that gets in their path. This is really beautiful because I see that every leader, eventually will run into opposition, or runs into opposition. I've seen that may have happened to you guys in the past. You guys may have run into certain like opposing forces that kind of didn't want you to lead, or didn't like that kind of behavior that you're kind of like trying to, like, how do I put this? It comes off to them as like controlling in the negative sense of the word, if that makes sense. And so I definitely see that these people kind of like it's hard to explain. With overcoming the obstacle, the Rhino person basically has this ability to kind of like move these people out of the way. There's also a factor with the Rhino Spirit where your spouse is a little intimidating, or on the outside looks a little intimidating. So for example, with you on the other hand, a stag is like majestic, beautiful, captivating. And that's what you guys are represented as. But the thing is like with it being a stag, it's very close to the deer spirit. And the deer spirit has bring a gentle touch. So it's not the most like commanding, authoritative figure. So I definitely see that the Rhino spirit has this way of getting other people to like follow your lead, kind of with they pack that authoritative punch that kind of blends very well with your visionary abilities to kind of get the ball rolling, basically. And so that's kind of like two factors or two things I'm seeing about you guys as a couple. I'm mainly seeing these factors as like ways in which you work well together, or how you work on projects. And I don't know why that's coming through the strongest. Maybe that's something you guys need to hear. You need to hear how you work on projects with your spouse or something like that. But I'm definitely seeing all these components that I've just discussed are all based around like working on projects, getting things done. I feel like it could even happen with the children. Like you, like as you as the spouse might have like the visionary plan for the family, like how you want things to go, where you want to take the children to school, stuff like that. Like you have the visionary plan, and then this rhino person is kind of like overcomes the obstacles to get it done. You know, they overcome the minutia or the daily task or the little things that kind of like are too insignificant for like you to deal with, basically. I don't know why it's coming through like that, but I'm definitely feeling that, like, on one hand, like you've in your life, you've just been like, man, I don't want to deal with this little detail. We see that again here with Virgo, right? It's like, I don't want to deal with this little detail. It's like plaguing me. It's like being this big issue in my life, and how am I going to overcome this? Like, I want to focus on this. Like, I want to focus on the vision, right? I'm seeing that kind of visionary aspect too with that crown chakra with the stag horns, you know? But this rhino person has the ability to kind of like maneuver things in their environment to like get things the certain correct way, to like accomplish things, basically. So let's talk about your love language next. So first we have spiritual connection. A relationship as a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. And for you guys on this hand, we have I love you. These are powerful words. One thing that I am seeing is that I feel like both of you were travel companions in a previous lifetime, or you may have moved a lot in a previous lifetime. I'm seeing a lot of relocation. So whether that's this lifetime or the previous lifetime, I am seeing a lot of relocation where you've had to move from one place to the next a few times actually in your life. With the 9 here, I see this as a sense of expansion. So it's almost like you guys feel very at home in the world or in bigger environments or in a larger scale. I want to say like organizations, if this is a working situation for like those of you who are going to get into a partnership that's like through work with your partner, which I'm definitely seeing as a possibility. But there is also this idea of like expanding the mind, right? It's like your expanse into the actual physical world is equal, if not greater than the expanse of your mind, but the expanse of the mind kind of like parallels it, if that makes sense. So I definitely see that you guys have this expansive way of being. And the way that I see that with like how you love each other is that kind of like these words with I love you, when you guys say I love you to each other, it expands the other one's mind. It's like that kind of confirmation that other person needs. I see that every once in a while in your relationship, it's like you need to hear those words. You know, it's like you've been in relationships in the past where you didn't have, like, they didn't tell you those words often enough, if that makes sense. And you maybe didn't say those words often enough. And I'm definitely seeing with a spiritual connection, this is kind of being represented by something that's also a little bit of knowing, you know? So I feel like there might be certain situations where one of you does something that you pretty much did in a past life with this person, and you do it in this lifetime, and it's like a loving gesture, and then the other one says I love you, and that's kind of the connection that I'm seeing. That's kind of like the way you guys, that's like your love language. So for example, with I love you, this could be just also words of affirmation for those of you who are into the 5 love languages. And with spiritual connection, I'm definitely seeing this could be like acts of service or gifts or anything where you do something and it feels so natural and it feels impulsive almost to do this for your partner. You just feel like, I just want to feel like doing it, you know? And so you're kind of overloaded with the feeling of doing this thing for your partner or for your children or something like that. And your partner just instantly is like, you know, I love you. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's just it's beyond, it's weird because it's like the I love yous are coming from this lifetime. It's those are the words that are sealing your bond in this lifetime. But the spiritual connection, the acts of service you do, the gifts you give to each other, even some of the quality time or just exploring the world together, I'm definitely seeing that was a lot of stuff from a past life. So you guys might even have this kind of idea of like wanting to travel to certain places that are coming up in your mind, that are like specific places that you've both have thought of, or like when you like watch a TV show or something and you see this other country on the TV show or something like that, or maybe the characters are traveling in this other country. You're both looking at the screen going like, wow, doesn't that look like a cool place? And your partner's like, yeah, I totally agree with you. It seems very like cool and stuff. And you guys are both have this affinity for the same location. And that's kind of how you know, that you're experiencing a past life moment, because anything where you guys have that synchronicity where it's like one of you really, really loves a specific thing and the other one also really, really loves the specific thing, it's a past life connection. It's something that you both came here in this lifetime to experience it in the same way, basically. Yeah, let's get into your children and where you will live. So we have like a few areas of like, I'm kind of seeing a few different things here. With the Six of Wands, you could live in a city or a place where there's a lot of people, or a place where there's a lot of people in the environment. So that's something I'm seeing with where you'll live. With the Hermit here, with her being by the ocean and this light shining, and it's kind of like, it looks a little cold. You might live in a colder climate, and also by the sea, by the ocean, maybe on like having a great view of the ocean, basically. Like if you look at her and she's sitting over here, and there's also stairs here. I'm seeing stairs in a few places. Stairs also in the Ace of Swords and the spiral staircase. So something where you live, you might actually have a spiral staircase in your house, or something along the lines of like having some kind of stairway or staircase or 2 stories to your house. I'm definitely seeing a large house. With Seven of Cups, interestingly here, there's also an ocean behind this man, and there are kind of water pouring out of this cup, and there's ladders here too. So there's definitely something about 2 stories to your house, or having a house with 2 stories. You definitely could live in the city with the Six of Wands, but I am with the Hermit. I am also seeing a sense of isolation. So there might be 2 places where you live. Like you might at one point live in a very isolated location, and then your family decides to move to the city, or you start out living in the city and you eventually you want to move to a more isolated location. Some of this actually might have to do with your children's personalities, like you guys moving for your children. I'm seeing that some of your children like a more hustling and bustling kind of atmosphere, while the other ones like more of a quiet place, or a quiet place and stuff like that. And so I'm definitely seeing that you might have kind of experiences with your children where, on one hand, some children kind of seem extroverted in the city because they're going out, they're socializing, they're talking to people, they're going to events, they're going to movies, they're going to parties, whatever. And with your children, like for example, I'm specifically seeing the starfish and the dragonfly cards here as far as this aspect. I'm seeing the starfish child being more like a city kind of person, and then I'm seeing the dragonfly child being more of like an isolated type of person. So for example, if you live in the city, the dragonfly person might actually benefit from having like a pet, like an animal companion, like really connecting with nature in that way, or like a flower garden or a plant garden in the house or something like that. Plants would be very beneficial for this person to have if you're in the city. And vice versa for the starfish person, if you guys move to a more isolated location, I am seeing that like having like outlets on social media is going to be beneficial for this starfish person, or aspects where they can communicate with people virtually. So, you know, for example, a starfish person would be a perfect person if they live in a remote location to like have a YouTube channel, or to be some kind of influencer or something like that, you know, because I definitely see that they'll be able to interact with the crowd like they want to, and at the same time they can have their like peaceful family life. One thing that I am seeing too is it's kind of flip-flops with the dragonfly and the starfish child. It's like in the city, the starfish child is very social, expert. They'll always be out of the house. They'll always be doing things. They'll always be at friends' place, going to visit friends and stuff like that. And with the dragonfly person, if you live in a more isolated community around nature and stuff, I see the dragonfly person in those isolated communities wanting to leave the house, to go on nature hikes, explore, surfing possibly, basically just trying to be out in nature as much as possible. So you have somewhat of like a more, like, civilized is not the right word. I'm trying to think of the 2 words to describe it. You have a more like kind of wild child and a more civil child, if that makes sense. Even though I do see the starfish child kind of being a little wild in the city environments, if that makes sense, like wanting to go and do different things and be around different people and stuff like that. They just love crowds. Let's see what else I see. Let's get into the children's personalities actually now that I'm here. So for the dragonfly person, we have someone who is a little quiet and a little mystical. We have a creature we have a water symbol behind the dragonfly person, and on top we have an air symbol. So we have this kind of element of them being kind of like more of a sensitive soul. Someone who is kind of like fragile. We see the dragonfly as kind of being fragile. I'm looking at their wings specifically as being like fragile. but also somewhat of a leader. I feel like your other children are going to listen to this child, and that's just because of how the card flipped up in the deck, right? Is this child, this dragonfly child, is kind of the leader that everyone kind of looks to. And the reason they look to this person is because I'm seeing somewhat in your connection, there's not a lot of soul searching between you and your partner. And I think this child that you have is going to really show you that side of life. I feel like this dragonfly child is very introverted and likes to search their soul quite often, likes to go within, likes to figure out things that they're dreaming about, that they're fantasizing about. I feel like with this dragonfly person, they like to mull over plans a lot. We see this again here with the Virgo energy, and we're seeing a lot of the fact with the Virgo energy. It's like a lot of people in your family are going to be grounded. There's an overall feeling of groundedness to them and a sense of energy with the Mars. It's like there's a sense of energy to your family and a groundedness. So I definitely feel like when people meet your family, they are thinking, like, whoa, like your family's so grounded, or they're so down to earth. Even this dragonfly person that's a little spacey, and maybe the tarantula person's spacey too. I haven't really looked at those two cards yet, but I'm going to get into that later. But the dragonfly person who's a little spacey. They might still be more grounded, or they might be a grounding influence for the family, just in that more fantasy-focused direction. And everyone's very expansive. I feel like higher education is really important to your family with the 9th house here. I feel like college could be very important for both of you. You guys might want to get your kids into college. And just in general, I feel like you're a couple that's very focused on your children's growth and development. You want them to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And so I'm definitely seeing that is kind of definitely like a possibility with all of your kids. It's just that they all have different talents and strengths that it's kind of that you want to maybe focus on with the different children. So we covered the dragonfly child. With the starfish child, I am seeing that this starfish child kind of has this wanting to be everywhere or see everything all at once. They're very intuitive, but they're very expansive. They're very popular as well. I feel like no matter what social circle they fall into, they're practically famous amongst their peers. They have this way of being like one of the cool kids. I also see that they're very open-minded, so they're not necessarily mean. And one of the reasons why they're so popular, and this is interesting because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes like popular kids when you were younger maybe were like the mean kids or something like that. But our society transitions itself. I mean, you can just look at how people viewed like nerds as a negative thing, right? But then like with this whole influx of like technology and stuff, and it just rapid development over the past 30 years, nerds have become like the top dogs in that realm. So the hierarchies are always shifting and personalities are always shifting. And one thing that I'm seeing with them, one reason why they are so popular is because they're so open-minded. They can connect with pretty much anyone at any given time. They blend well with a lot of different people. And they definitely seek people out. They show people attention. They show people care. They show people appreciation. I think they also learn that from you two as far as your married life goes and your connection. I feel like they seek to show people their support, and that's why they receive so much support in return. They're kind of one of those people who gets down with other people. They are the star. They are like the celebrity, right, in their group, but at the same time, they're very open-minded and very expansive. So they have this ability to kind of like be everywhere at once, basically. Now, your tarantula child, I feel like you have two other children. These two children, I feel like, have a very docile, almost angelic nature. And then the tarantula child and the scorpion child, you have two children that have more of a dark side to them. So there's kind of like with the 7 of Cups and the tarantula child, I definitely see that people are not sure what to make of the tarantula person. There's kind of an element where a little bit of a fear factor here where your tarantula child, it's like they're very impulsive and fiery. So is the scorpion person, right? They're both very fiery people. They're both very impulsive, and they have a darker kind of character to them. So they do have this sense of mysteriousness about them, even though they are impulsive. So they have both. But with 7 of Cups and tarantula, I feel like people don't know where this person's going to be, or they might try to avoid this person. And I feel like the tarantula child kind of like plays into this sense of mystery, basically. So people who might not like know anything about them, might try to like surprise them or approach them in a specific way, because the nature of their personality, it's like people want to kind of catch them off guard, if that makes sense. But I am saying this tarantula person always has kind of the one up on the people that are trying to catch them off guard. So it is kind of a little game they play with others. I am seeing a lot of the red and the yellow behind them. I feel like their root chakra is very important to them. Survival is very important to them. This child might have a more mercenary view of the world, if that makes sense. Kind of like a survival of the fittest kind of mentality. And remember, you might not have all of these kids too, but because I know that these two are very different from these two. So this is also a general reading. So you have to take what resonates. You're most likely, if you're watching this pile, you're going to have kids that resonate more with your own energy, if that makes sense. Those are probably the children that are going to come out first, is kind of what I'm feeling for this pile. But with the Mars card here, the Scorpion and the Tarantula, I feel these two children are more aggressive in nature. Because the Tarantula is so strategic, and they're always worried. I'm saying he because I'm feeling like this child is a boy, but it could also be a girl. This Tarantula child has this way of kind of luring people in, like a spider with their web, kind of. But they're strategic about it, if that makes sense. They're always hidden. People don't know where they're coming from or where they're going, and they don't know their next moves. This person likes to deal with surprises. So I feel like as parents, this person might like to throw like surprise birthday parties for their friends. They might like to surprise you guys with shocking news that's like kind of crazy news, like, so-and-so said this, and it's like this big shocking display of information, and you guys are probably like, whoa, what the heck? So Tarantula child likes to deal with surprises, right? They like to not, they don't like people seeing where they're going or where they're coming from. They like to shock people. They like that factor of like, I caught you off guard, right? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with the Tarantula person. It's like, I caught you off guard, Another thing too which is interesting, is they have a very like scary outer appearance, but tarantulas themselves are very soft and gentle creatures. So for example, I feel like this person is very soft and gentle once you get to know them. I feel like this is the child that's actually going to have, it's the child that like once they show people their inner self, it's like their close friends and them are all very nurturing towards each other, if that makes sense. I feel like the Tarantula person, their close friends are actually probably people who are soft in nature, and I think that's one reason why they get along with this dragonfly and starfish child so much, because these children have like soft outer appearances, basically, especially the dragonfly person. They have more of like a kind of gentle demeanor, but this Tarantula person has a soft inside. They're really like defenseless too. It's just they have this way of like maneuvering in the toughest environments. Yeah, let's move on to the Scorpion child. This child is your genius child, right? Like this is the child that's going to do so well in school, and they have kind of like a sharp demeanor. There's something sharp in their facial features. I feel like they have sharp eyes or a sharp like mouth, or they purse their lips or something like that, or they have a sharp nose or something like that. And with this woman kind of closing her eyes and this light going in her mind, they have this brilliant ability to use logic. This is the child that gets epiphanies very easily. This is the child that kind of, they have this ability to understand life very clearly and very easily. They kind of know what's going on. They also have divine inspiration come to them quite frequently. So I feel like this Scorpion child might actually have a lot of ideas of things they want to do in life that are like come from nowhere. I feel like for the people watching this, if you're resonating with the stag spirit person, I feel like they get this from you. They get this divine inspiration from you. Like you have this way of like downloading things from your crown chakra and coming up with ideas to take the lead and to lead others in a very like visionary type of way. The Scorpion child is also very visionary. And they have to be told to use their knowledge for good, if that makes sense. That's something that's very coming through very importantly for the Scorpion person. They'll be very good in school. They'll want to succeed. In that way, they'll play by the rules because they want to achieve high marks. They want to achieve high grades. They want to achieve high success. I don't necessarily see them being involved in too many clubs unless it's something that they're divinely guided to do, right? If they're divinely guided or they want to do it, they'll want to join a club. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to get them to budge. I feel like the Scorpion person could be stubborn somewhat. But at the same time, if you're approach them and explain to them like ethics of situations, like, hey, this is a good action and this is a bad action, or this is something that's going to hurt others and this is something that's going to heal others. I see that they have such an incisive, logical mind that it could go either way, if that makes sense. So they might actually say things that are hurtful to people, but they don't understand that they're saying a hurtful thing. So they have to be kind of led with ethics as far as like a parenting technique to raise this child. They have to be kind of led the correct way so they don't say anything too hurtful to others. Because they do have this brilliant mind and they see the truth so clearly. So that's why their stinger, their quote unquote stinger, right? It stings a little bit when they say their insights because it's like, it's the truth and the truth kind of hurts. And so they have to learn how to deliver their insights Sorry, there was a car that was driving by. They have to learn how to deliver their insights with a very gentle touch, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to take that car as a sign to end the reading. I know I kind of went off on this reading. It's a little bit longer than my normal readings, but I had fun reading for you guys. If you want more detailed information on your future children or where you will live, I have 2 pick a cards about that are in the description box of this video. So check those out if you want to look more into that. And with that said, we're going to end the reading there. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like or comment. If you really enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. We're always welcoming new subscribers here at Cody Tarot. And with that said, we are going to move on to the second group with the Spirit Quartz. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Hey, group 2. This is if you picked the Spirit Quartz, really pretty, shiny kind of crystal. So let's get into your reading. So we're going to be drawing these animal oracle cards to represent you and your person as far as your married life goes. And the first card we have is Nightingale Spirit. And I feel like I want to put that in your guys' position. Keep in mind, energies could be flipped. If I'm reading this and you sound like your spouse and your spouse sounds like you, just flip the energies because these are general. And so a lot of people come to these readings. So keep that in mind. I didn't say that for group 1. I totally spaced, so I'll have to maybe put a disclaimer or something. But yeah, energies could be flipped. So let's see what else. This card wants to come out. We have Scarab Beetle. Magic works through you. And these are the cards for the love languages. We have faith and be in the present and dream of the future. And then we are going to draw these animal oracle cards, these other animal oracle cards, the Kim Kranz cards for your children. And we're also going to be drawing Light Seers cards for where they will live and also about the children's personalities. So these cards have 2 meanings in this reading. So let's see. This card wants to come out. We have Hawk. I pulled 4 children for the last group. Let's see. We have Fish and Stingray. And let me see if there's one more child that wants to come through. This card didn't want to go back on the deck, so I'm taking this one. We got Crow. And then we'll pull these Light Seer Oracle cards or tarot cards, and then we will get right into the reading. Also, I'm going to be drawing the astro dice. I forgot to mention that. And I'm kind of just drawing on those throughout the reading in different locations. It's kind of just representing the general energy of your family. We have Ace of Pentacles, the Moon, Justice. And with the Crow, we have the Hangman and the Three of Wands in reverse. I'm just going to put them like that. Let me try to move these over here like this. And sorry, other readers, I see them all the time. They read while they arrange their cards, and I just can't do that. I don't know if it's because I'm a guy. It's like the multitasking part of it. Like like when I'm organizing the cards, I like go quiet. Okay, so here's the astro dice, and we're gonna get this for just general reading energy about the family. And we have South Node, Sagittarius, and the 6th house. Okay. Different from the previous reading, group 1, I'm feeling called to explain where you guys live first off before I get more into the reading. So just some few things that are sticking out to me that are kind of, really prominent. I feel like with the Moon card here, with this water, you guys might live by a body of water, or there might be an element where you live in kind of like an area where you could be secluded from others. With Ace of Pentacles here, I am saying that you might have a garden, or you might have some kind of area or patch of earth near you that is kind of really like beneficial, or makes you guys feel comforted, or you might grow your own vegetables or something like that, or there's some kind of like patch of earth around you that's really like grounding for the family. Also with the Hangman, where she's looking at this pool of runes and stuff, and the surfer by the water, I am seeing a lot of water for where you live. So I feel like wherever you live, the important part about it is that there's water nearby. And that's something that I'm seeing that is really valuable to you guys. And with the Justice card here, I feel like this body of water balances the family out. It's like this watery energy balances the family out. We also have 2 children that are like deep sea creatures, like they're in the water, like they can only survive in the water. So I feel like you have a few family members also who kind of are very like the growing up around water is like really important for this group. Now that could be something as simple as you guys have a pool in your backyard, or, your kids are on the swim team or something like that. But it can also go as far as like you live by the ocean and maybe some of them surf, or you live by a lake, or you live by a river, or maybe you live somewhere where it always rains and the rain is the water that feels rejuvenating to everyone, But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing so far for like where you guys will live. I don't know why that's coming through first. Normally I talk about the relationship and all that good stuff first, but that wanted to come out first. So let's get into the relationship and your guys' personalities. So with the Nightingale spirit and the Scarab Beetle spirit, I want to get into the numerology first. We have a 4 and a 1 and a 5 and a 2 over here. The way I'm seeing this is 4 and 1 comes before 5 and 2. It's like 1 to 2, 4 to 5, right? So it's like what I'm seeing is that this person, or you guys, I'm reading as if this person's you, but you guys' energies could be flipped. So with Nightingale spirit, this is representing you guys. You're very loving people. I feel like you're so loving and so caring that it just kind of projects outward, It's interesting because I'm seeing that you guys might be a little more, how do I put this? Present focused, if that makes sense. Like you might be more focused on the present, but you might have like an eye for the future, as far as like you might be excited by stuff about the future. It makes sense why you're watching tarot card videos, basically, because you're excited about hearing about the future, knowing about the future, understanding the future, but at the same time you're very much present-minded individuals, especially with your love. I feel like you guys are types of people who, with the love is all around, I feel like you're very present focused in your love with others. So for example, I feel like, if you love someone in the now, you feel like you're going to love them in the future. Whether you do or not is another story. But I feel like if you love someone in the present, you feel like you're going to love them in the future. And almost you feel like you're going to love them in the past. So for example, if you never met this person before, once you meet them, I feel like this idea of love is like, how do I explain this? when you love, it could color your perceptions of the future and your perceptions of the past, is what I'm trying to say. So if you love someone, it's like you feel like every dream you've had in the past was about them, if that makes sense. Or if you love someone, you feel like every fantasy of the future, it has them in it, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing with your love. It's like your love kind of takes over your timeline, if that makes sense, of your past and your future. So for example, people may have chided you in the past for saying you love something where you actually said in the past that you didn't like it or something like that. And then in the present, you're like, no, I like that. Or I like that person, or I'm okay with that person, because in the present you love them, So it's one of those things where I feel like the perception of time, it's not skewed. It's just that it comes into alignment when you meet your partner, which is quite interesting. But it's almost like your love is very present focused, right? If you love someone in the present, you feel like you're going to love them forever. Basically, if you love someone, you feel like you're going to always love them, if that makes sense. Your love is not very wishy-washy, right? It's kind of like, I hope I'm making myself clear. I'm going to get into your partner right now and we'll come back to you guys. Scarab beetle spirit magic works through you. Your partner is very, very spiritual and magical. The scarab beetle spirit is like a very intense creature. I feel like this is the type of creature who, if you do not treat them kindly, you will be cursed. Not because this person is like intentionally cursing you. It's just that like, if you're not nice to this person, how do I put this? They're so magical. They have such a magical aura that it's like if someone affects them or treats them wrong, that aura like protects them, if that makes sense. So magic working through them is different than them using magic. Does that make sense? Like they're not cursing the person. It's that magic is working literally through their body as a vessel, if that makes sense. So if someone attacks them, they're gonna get hurt. There's nothing they can, and the scarab beetle person can't really control it either. That's the thing. They can't control who they're hurt, or it's not their, the thing is, I want to get away from this idea that they're hurting these people, because they're not. It's just that the law of karma is super powerful with these people. Like, if anyone hurts them, it's like, or their family for that matter, or their loved one. So you're protected too once you get into this sphere. It's like anyone hurts anyone that they know. And I feel like they can do things with magic too. Like they obviously have abilities with magic and psychic abilities maybe even. But they definitely have like manifestation abilities for sure. This person, just magic works through them. And it's interesting because I definitely see that it works unconsciously through them and they can consciously use it. But it's almost like if they don't consciously direct it, it unconsciously starts manifesting things in their life. So, and the law of karma is really, really prevalent for this type of person. I feel like they're protected from a lot. The scarab beetle is reminding me of protection. But at the same time, they have this ability to inadvertently curse others who come near them. It's like they're, what are those? I don't know why. I don't know much about this animal. That's why it's weird that it's coming to my head. But I'm thinking of poisonous frogs for some reason, and how I'm thinking of just poisonous animals. We'll just say poisonous animals in general, and how if a predator comes up and tries to bite the animal or something like that, the animal, if they escape, the animal kind of like has this ability to heal, right? Or with the scarab beetle, it's like a hard shell, but basically the animal gets poisoned and eventually dies, right? The curse lasts with them and then eventually it kills them, right? So it's very risky to be a predator around this type of person, because if you attack them, you get poisoned and you die, basically. For lack of a better metaphor, we're going to go with that. And that's kind of how their magic works through them. It's like so protective of an influence for them. The one interesting thing about love is all around with Nightingale Spirit, I feel like this person feels bad that people who have hurt them end up hurting themselves. And that's just because, on one hand, it's like, they're not quite sure that this ability of theirs is good. even though it's very protective over them. The people that get in their way, or the people that hurt them, it's kind of like karma is like going to deal the blow that's the most effective for that person, you know? In this way, this person might view magic and karma as one and the same, if that makes sense. Now, you guys, on the other hand, with Nightingale Spirit, love is all around, even though you're following this person, and you're kind of taking their lead, they're kind of in the leadership mentality in the relationship. It's like you're trailing behind them, kind of, is what I'm getting. But with the Nightingale Spirit, with love is all around, I am seeing that you're a very loving person. And so the beautiful thing about this is, because you're sending your love to this person and you fall in love with this person, their ability has the opposite effect on you because you're sending loving vibrations, right? It's like it gives you lots of blessings and benefits and success in your life because you're deeply falling in love with this person. So you end up getting this very solid amount of blessings. I'm kind of seeing this here with the Sagittarius energy, with kind of like good luck, kind of going with the Sagittarius vibes. I see you guys as being very lucky. And so it's almost like because you have this ability to love almost everyone and everything, it's like that kind of creates this kind of beautiful synergy with this person, where it's kind of like, in a way, your guys' abilities kind of like link up and manifest together. And I'm going to get into that right now with the love languages. So I'm going to talk about the love languages right now. With have faith, trust your faith in the situation, and be in the present and dream of the future. When we dream, everything is possible. I'm seeing it's really important for you guys as the Nightingale person to have these dreams of the future, or to dream of something, of the way the world could be, or the way the world could be different. I feel like with love is all around, I feel like you want to spread that love into every single person on the planet and make everyone a more loving individual. And I see that your dream of the future has to deal with this kind of love, which is beautiful. It's pretty amazing, actually. Yeah, I see that both of you together, you have this ability to dream of the future and have faith the future is going to happen. So you both reinforce that in each other. I feel like that's the more important than loving each other specifically, or having a love language between each other, is to have this sense of positivity in the future, or how things are unfolding, basically. And so I see that on one hand, you might dream a little bit of the future, and this person might have a lot of faith that things are going to work out a certain way, that they're protected. I see that with you guys together, it kind of amplifies that, and you guys kind of have this beautiful ability to be and live in the present moment and kind of enjoy the present moment all the time, because you know that the future is taken care of. And if you're ever worried, if one of you is ever worried about the future or some aspect in the future, I feel like the other one supports that person, and it says like, hey, look, the future is going to be a beautiful thing. Like, we have only this to look forward to, or we have only this to look forward to. I see with the South Node here, there's kind of a vibe of like looking to the past to see the future. So I feel like for some of you, what I was seeing with the Nightingale person, with the love card and the timeline factor, I feel like they can look into the past and see things that weren't good at once before, and because they send love to it in the present, and they kind of love it from the present moment, they love their past from the present moment, they have this ability to affect the entire timeline, you know? So that love is super contagious, specifically in the timeline of how events unfold. And so with the South Node, I see you guys find a lot of discovery and knowledge in your past, or things that happened in your past. I see it's really important. There might be some sentimentality that's important for you guys, things that may have gone before. You might value traditions you might value that have gone before. You might be really happy with certain things that were in your past, or skills that you have that you learned in your past, something along those lines. Let's get into your children's personalities, because I did kind of cover where you guys will be living. If I see more about that, I will go into it, but let's get into your children's personalities. I feel like with the 6 right here, with this sense of routine, I feel like there's a big component of structure or order to your guys' life. And I feel you guys have a lot of blessings in the realm of health. So I feel like you both will be very healthy. I feel like that's something that's going to be beneficial. You guys are going to have a lot of good luck. But let's get into your, and with the Sagittarius here, I am thinking of expansion. So I am seeing this kind of expanding component to your relationship and your connection in the future of where you guys are going. So let's get into your children. Okay, so your first child that's coming through is this stingray child. And this is a child who is very laid back and very well balanced. So this person does not have too many deficiencies. They don't have too many weaknesses. And they either have a lot of strengths or they just don't have any real strengths. They're just kind of like good at everything, but because they're good at everything, they're not really good at anything. So they have to really realize that they're like kind of vibing with all things in life. You know, they have this ability to kind of be good at so many different things. With the stingray being a more flimsy creature and surfing, I'm imagining the stingray surfing along the bottom of the ocean floor. You know, I feel like there is this kind of vibe of like chill, laid back attitude that this person has. And I don't often get this with the stingray card as a personality trait, but I am seeing this person is very chill and laid back and relaxed, right? They're a very chill, easygoing type of person. And they do have an eye for money. They have this, with the Sagittarius influence representing luck here. I'm surprised we didn't have Jupiter, but I think we had to get this south node instead of Jupiter. So the Sagittarius is really representing the luck here. But they have this ability to kind of rake in money wherever they go. They have this ability to make money. They have a sound business sense to them, but they're very laid back. Like they're so chill and vibey, and everyone kind of is just like, wow, you're so comfortable or you're so relaxed. Like, how can you be that relaxed? They're like, you know, man, like life's good. You know, like I feel like this is your typical like character who's very like chill, vibey, relaxed, always happy, always zen. They might like to meditate a lot. They might overindulge in meditation. I feel like if you teach this child meditation when they're really young, it's going to be very beneficial, but they might overindulge in it a little bit. You might have to be careful with this child with drugs too. If this because I feel like this child might actually, when they're older, might want to experiment with like drug use and stuff like that, because they're very not necessarily open-minded. I feel like they are open-minded, but they're just very relaxed. They're very chill. They're very calm. Yeah. There's not much more to say about this person, except that with the Ace of Pentacles card, they might be good at business in the long run, or they might have this ability to manifest money really easily or get money really easily. I feel like they make good business deals with their friends, or they have ways of like providing good business with everyone else. And specifically with this Ace of Pentacles, how I mentioned earlier, it represented the garden, or you guys having a garden at your house. They might be really good at growing foods like vegetables, and they might actually want to like compost their own food or something like that, or they might want to, I'm picking up very strong like hippie vibes from this child. So they might be really into like natural remedies. They might be very earthy in that sense, like want to kind of like be of the earth. They might tell you to recycle all the time. If you guys are, you know, not recycling your plastics or something, they might like harp on you to do that or something like that. There's something about being like very earthy and very like connected with nature, but also having a very strong sense of business to them as well, like being business minded as well. They're kind of that humanitarian that's like business savvy, if that makes sense. Yeah, they're very intuitive, but they're more intuitive in their lifestyle, not necessarily like their intuition. I see that their business sense grounds them in that practical way that kind of disassociates them from their intuition a little bit. But at the same time, I feel like they move through life in a very blessed way, right? This person, this fish person, is interesting with the moon card here. I feel like this person has this ability to kind of, because with this child, we see the moon twice. So I'm seeing this child is extremely intuitive, right? Extremely intuitive. And I feel that sometimes their intuition overwhelms them. I feel like they're at their best when the moon is almost like this shape, like a crescent or even a new moon. When the moon is full, I feel like this person feels like they are... It's trippy how this person is being like shown to me. I'm going to be honest, because as their personality, we see the fish, but over here we see this woman. And I am seeing that it's like a transformation process. Like when the moon is like new or a crescent, they're more like a fish. I'm going to elaborate on this. Just bear with me. They're more like a fish. And then when the moon is full, they're more like a woman, or they're more like a person, or like a magical being, or like a mermaid or something. It's like they transform as the moon progresses. And And usually with the fish, I see someone who always kind of has to keep moving or keep swimming or keep doing things. So I feel like they're constantly moving, they're constantly doing things. But at the same time, as the moon transitions, their personality changes a little bit, and they're highly intuitive. They're highly reactive to the moon. They're highly reactive to celestial planets. I feel like this is the child that's going to be the moody, emotional one. And I feel like it's interesting because I'm seeing this woman is under the water, right? And I'm seeing the moon and the rising the tide in the water, and I'm sensing like a pressure in the water. So I feel like this is the type of child who feels like under pressure pretty easily. So something that's coming through is like when the moon is kind of like new, they feel kind of grounded, or they feel rooted, or they feel more themselves, and they can move more effortlessly, and they can get things accomplished easier. But when the moon is full, specifically on full moon nights, they might feel a lot of pressure from their environment. They might feel a lot of anxiety from the world around them. So they need like a lot of care and attention at this time to be really calm in these moments, basically. Surprisingly enough, even though in the metaphor that I'm saying the water represents pressure, in real life, if they're connected to a body of water when the moon is full, that will really ease their tensions. It will calm their anxiety. It will make them feel like the world's not caving in on them. It'll make them feel good and natural and more like themselves. You know, they do have this fish personality, so I feel like water has a very healing influence on this person. Also, I feel like this pressure could build up if they don't take a shower, or they don't kind of like cleanse themselves with water. If they're not if they're not drinking enough water, they need to drink a lot of water with this person as well. Water is just really symbolic. I feel like one of the reasons why you guys live by water, or you move to a place with water, is you see how well this particular child does in areas where there is a lot of water, basically. I'm seeing that as like really important for this child, this fish person. But yeah, I'm mentioning a lot of negatives about this child, like the fact that they need a lot of special care and attention, but they are highly attuned, highly sensitive. I feel like they pick up on trends pretty easily, and I feel like they pick up on the energies of others really easily. This child could easily be an empath or have kind of like psychic empathy. They might be able to know what others are thinking from a great distance or something like that, or they have this ability to kind of like read people really easily, or kind of understand or see people really easily. One way you can kind of understand this child too is like when they meet people, one of the only ways they know how to get the energy of the person that's kind of coming in and like to them as a psychic connection is to reflect it back at someone else. We have the fish has scales also, right? And the scales remind me of reflections, you know? So I'm definitely seeing that this fish has the ability to just, when they meet someone right off the bat, like they reflect that person's energy back at them almost immediately, because they almost don't know what else to do when they absorb that information. It's like, okay, I'm just going to give it back to you because I don't know what to do with it. Like, I don't want this stuck in my body, and so I'm definitely seeing that kind of vibe happening with them as well, where they kind of reflect energy back in their environment. Okay, let's get into your last two children. So we have the hawk. This is an interesting child because we see that this child with the air symbol up here wants a lot of freedom. They want a lot of space. They want a lot of freedom. They want to be able to do what they want to do. Same with the crow child. It's like, on one hand, you have these really intuitive, grounded kids who are probably more clingy or want to spend more time at home, or they are more homebodies, or they're more like focused on the local area. And then you have these hawk and crow children who just want to travel. I mean, it kind of makes sense. We have the nightingale spirit. So you guys watching this might be like very focused on traveling or flying or kind of exploring your own freedom in many different ways. But this hawk person is kind of the hawk I always see as someone who sees the larger picture of the land or the environment. And so basically with this justice card, I see them as also having this ability to be very fair with others. It's just coming through as fairness mainly. And with the sky behind this woman, I see that they have this ability to kind of like really clear their head when they're in flight or when they're moving or when they're in motion, right? This person, this child might be really good at surveying the land. I feel like when they're a kid, they'll like to draw maps. They like to draw maps of places they've been, and they might actually like to travel a lot. So keep that in mind. I feel like this person likes high places so they can oversee, like they're very focused on seeing the bigger picture of a situation. You know, they look at the situation from the outside in, if that makes sense. They actually feel more uncomfortable in close quarters with people. So I would not expect this child to be like, how do I put this? Like in your family environments or like family dinners or something like that, or when you're all families like really close, like in holidays like Christmas and stuff, or like when your family's really like at Thanksgiving, or moments where your family's really like intimate and together and close. I feel like this hawk person is going to still remain kind of aloof because they still want to keep a hold of the bigger picture, and they kind of like their freedom. So when they're in family situations, I feel like they love their family deeply. They love you guys deeply. They love you deeply. But the thing is like they, you know, they're more engaging with people with like strangers, for example. They're more engaging with like strangers, and with the family situation, they might, when it comes to intimacy with the family, they might just be focused on who's breaking the rules or who's not breaking the rules, or fairness amongst family members, right? And they kind of like will, if you approach them, they'll tell you about this fairness, or they'll explain to you about what they think is right or wrong in a particular situation. But other than that, they kind of keep aloof from the distance in the family communication. They don't really fully engage in like I feel like these two children might like be really light up in like close family situations, where this hawk child, on the other hand, kind of remains cool and distant. I feel like this hawk child, though, is going to have a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, and they're going to be known for being fair-minded. You know, they're going to be known for being like rational, if that makes sense. Now we have the crow individual, which is another creature that loves flying. I feel like with the hawk and the crow child, they're going to spend a lot of time together, going on adventures together, and they might have the same circle of friends. I do see these two having separate circles of friends, maybe not the same either. I see them each having their own circle of friends. And specifically with the fish person, the intuitive person, I don't see them having too many friends, probably like one or two very close friends that they keep throughout their life. But for the most part, I am seeing that like these two children have more like acquaintances, right? Now the crow person is also a very spiritual creature, right? So this child is very like spiritual in their own sense. They like to roam around and like bless people as they travel along, basically. I feel like with the Hangman in reverse and the Three of Wands in reverse, something that this crow person has to deal with is their being restricted. I feel like it's going to be a big theme in their life. And one thing that I'm seeing with this crow person is they might actually feel imprisoned at certain points in their life, whether that's in a relationship, or that could even be from you guys as the parents, or, with the Nightingale spirit, you guys might actually, place some kind of rules or restrictions on this child without knowing, with thinking you're giving them guidance or something, but then they might feel suppressed, and you might find out later they were kind of feeling a little, what's it called? Rung in. I feel like this person's very impulsive with the Hangman in reverse. They kind of want to get into action now and do things now. And with the Three of Wands in reverse, there's also this idea of wanting to expand outward. And I feel like there's something about being restricted or feeling restricted. And this might not be in the family situation. This could be out in the world or out in school, or having like a relationship or a specific person or a friend that kind of restricts them. I feel like they eventually will break free from this restriction as far as their life path goes, and they will move and fly and be just as free as this hawk person, right? Even though the hawk person's more logical. And that's the best way I can describe this person, is more logical, more justice and fair-minded. We do have the sword here representing logic. The crow person's a little more impulsive, a little more wanting kind of connections with others. And I feel like they have this, it's interesting. It's almost like they see the love that you have for your spouse, and they want that kind of love. The reason a relationship is coming through so strongly for them early on, I feel like they get into a relationship really early. That person somewhat dominates them or is a little bit controlling over them. And I see them kind of breaking away from that in order to expand their horizons, to feel free. They might pick up a hobby like surfing or something where they feel free in nature or something like that. And with the hangman here, they might take up like gymnastics or something like that. But for the most part, they have this kind of like sense of impulsiveness to them where they want to kind of just get moving and get things going and do things, right? And once they kind of get rid of this relationship or these restrictions that they have earlier in life, they feel free to do that and they become much more happier in their adult lives, you know? Yeah. The other thing too with the crow person, they might like to watch like horror films or like things that are like darker in nature. They might really be into magic as well. I feel like they would have a really close relationship with your spouse, with the scarab beetle person, because they would blend really well in that magical component. And another connection I want to mention, just so you know who's close with who and stuff, I feel like you guys would be really close with this fish child because I feel like they need a lot of love. I feel like they need a lot of support and guidance and protection because they're kind of, sometimes the world starts to weigh on them and they feel that pressure of their environment and they get a little like squeamish, if that makes sense, or they feel a little more anxiety than the normal child, basically. So I feel like that when those moments happen, they'll probably come to you for a lot of love and support, basically. Yeah, I feel like the past is really important for a lot of your family. I feel like experiencing things that, except for the crow child, I feel like they need to break away and really find themselves in their future self versus their past and where they grew up in. They're the one that needs to kind of discover how to be free, but the rest of them, I feel like they find themselves pretty early in life, if that makes sense. And I feel like you guys have a solid routine that grounds the family as well, you know? One thing that's interesting is that you have a lot of luck and abundance, and specifically the stingray child has a lot of good luck happen to them. Like they fall into a lot of financial opportunities, they have a positive mindset, and it really attracts a lot of wealth to them. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to end the reading there. If you guys like that reading, please like or comment below. If you really enjoyed this reading, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I always post pick a cards like this once every 1 to 2 weeks. And with that said, yeah, we're going to move on to the third group with the clear quartz. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Hey, group 3, this is if you picked the clear quartz crystal. So this will be your reading. Let's get into it. So I'm going to draw a animal oracle card for both you and your spouse. And then we'll get into married life. We have love languages today. We have your children. We have where you will live. We have all the goods today. So get ready. Okay, what do we have here? We have 2 cards. We have groundhog spirit, time to let go, and ant spirit, time to collaborate. Okay. Now I want to pull your love language cards. Oh yeah, just so you know, I'm reading this card over here as you guys, and this one is your spouse. But the energies can be flipped. Keep that in mind. So, you might really more resonate with this card or this versus this card. But the rest of the reading is pretty, you know, self-explanatory. It's going to be about your just entire family. Okay, let's draw for this love languages. We have honesty is essential, speak with love and truth. And we also have love who you are divine, delightful, and deserving of the wonderful things life has to offer. Very cool. And we're going to draw these animal oracle cards, the Kim Kranz ones for your kids' personalities. We have swan and bear over here. And let's see if we get any more. We're gonna get 4. Each group has gotten 4 so far, but I'm trying to see if, okay, we have firefly, taking firefly. And let's see if there's, yeah, wolf. Okay, those are your 4. Now the children, I just want to keep in mind, you don't have to have 4 children, but if you're planning on having children, these are possibilities of personalities that could come out as far as your children go, if that makes sense. So you you might have just these 2 kids as a kid, or you might just have these 2, or maybe just these 3 or something like that. So they're just possibilities for like children that could come out. If you want more details about future children, I do have a reading about that I'm going to link in the description box below if you want to go watch that. And let's see, these cards are going to represent kind of like where you will be living, and also aspects about your future children as well. Let's draw for these guys. The Swan, we have the Hierophant in reverse. For the Wolf, we have the 2 of Pentacles. And I'm going to draw for the top. For the Firefly, we have the 6 of Swords in reverse. I'm also going to roll these Astro Dice. And this is just going to give me some general vibes I can draw upon throughout the reading for the whole connection. This is going to just be the general vibes of your family and stuff. We have Libra, Jupiter, and the 4th house. It's interesting. The Groundhog Spirit, their numerology 3 and 1 adds up to 4. So something about this spouse that you have is like this Groundhog person might actually have elements with the 4th house that they're dealing with, and also with time to let go. They might have to leave one family situation to figure out or to find that they really belong in your family situation. Like it could have been some kind of detrimental aspect with either their parents or their siblings or something like that, and they have to kind of discover how to cultivate their own family and kind of take the lessons they learned from that previous family and learn these new lessons, or take that experience and put that experience into practice in raising a whole new family with you, basically. With honesty is essential, I'm already starting to go off on the reading. I haven't even looked it over yet, but I'm seeing so many things right now. Honesty is essential, speak with love and truth. This family situation that they were a part of might have been filled with lies or deceptions or people betraying one another or something like that. So they never really had situations with honest, truthful connections with others. And so that's one thing that they value about you, is there's this basic sense of like honesty and truthfulness and stuff like that I'm really seeing that is something, one of your guys' love languages is always telling the truth, always sharing the truth with one another about how you truly feel about a situation or how you truly feel about something. And basically that truth telling is something that's going to really bond both of you in the long run. I see also with this also breaking down to 4 in the 4th house here, this Groundhog person, your spouse who moved away from their specific family situation into this situation with you, they have this ability to provide structure for the family unit. They had to go through this kind of transformation of their home life in order to figure out how to provide for their family in the future. It was kind of one of their learning lessons. I feel like this person's going to be an amazing father, amazing, and so are you, or amazing mother, right? Father or mother. And you are going to be this amazing mother or father for your kids as well. With the 4th house here, I feel like the family and the home life is really emphasized here, as far as like something that's really, especially with Jupiter being involved too. It's like you guys have this beautiful way of like creating like a lovely, like bountiful home environment for your kids. Yeah, with love who you are divine, delightful, and deserving of the wonderful things life has to offer. I feel that on one hand, this is something you guys show each other, but this relationship is really focusing on the family unit as a whole. Like before in the other 2 groups, we had situations where the parents had like a relationship and the kids kind of did their own thing, or at least that's kind of how it felt like. Or, you know, they were close, like the family was close, but this family particularly, like it's very integrated, right? Like the family's very integrated. So for example, I feel like these love languages that you guys share with each other, the truthfulness and loving who you are and accepting the good, beneficial blessings that life has to offer, I feel like those are things that you're going to share with your children more than you share with your spouse. It's like once you marry your spouse and you have your children, it's like the energy just goes to the children, right? It's one of those things where it goes into raising the kids and teaching them your values. And I feel like you'll build these values together as a couple. But once you guys are fully formed as a couple and you start having children, you'll really relate and teach these values to your kids. It's interesting because I see that you also teach them with the Libra card here about partnerships. You teach them what it's like to be in relationships and how to have good relationships, and to be honest with your people in your relationships and to be truthful in your communications in your relationships and to never lie or to cheat or to steal or anything like that. There's a strong sense of a moral backbone that you guys, and I'm not, most people would say don't lie, cheat, or steal, right? But what I'm saying is that you guys are going to have these sense of morals that you're going to develop in your partnership with your person that are specific to you, that make your guys' life wonderful or valuable, and you're going to bestow those lessons onto your children. We have wonderful things life has to offer and Jupiter here. So I feel like learning to accept the blessings of the universe is really beneficial for this connection. And I feel it's going to be very beneficial for you specifically watching this reading. Because what I'm seeing with time to collaborate, with the ant spirit, one of my favorite tarot readers, Kino Tarot, which she used to pull this card, she would say it's spirit's like a give and take, right? The ants are like passing this ball back and forth. You can kind of see this ball and they're passing it back and forth, and it's kind of like a give and take, collaboration with the universe is kind of how she saw that. And so I'm kind of seeing that message as well as like messages that I'm saying myself. So with that message, it's like with the bountiful Jupiter blessings and the wonderful things life has to offer, all you have to do is love who you are as a person, right? And that's kind of one thing that I see that you teach each other and show each other in this connection. It's like you show your spouse how to love who they are, and they show you how to love who you are. It's almost like when you guys, before coming into this connection, you may have had some self-esteem issues or some issues loving who you truly are as a person. You may have had body image issues in the past or something like that, or you may have really felt like you weren't deserving of love or something like that, or your personality was unlovable or something like that. But when you meet your spouse, they really help show you that you are lovable, you are worthy, you are deserving of the good things life has to offer. And so as you guys build up your self-esteem, and the beautiful thing about this is you guys are honest with each other about it. You're not like falsely building up each other's image, with like lies and deceptions. You're like truly honest, like, honestly, they could be like, you're a good person. And honestly, you could be like, you're a good person. You deserve the best life has to offer. I love you. I feel for you. It's like, I'm feeling like a really true kind of commitment with you guys, a really solid commitment, more so than most couples have. There's just something very solid about. And it's interesting, with time to collaborate, it's interesting because I feel like both of you actually also collaborate with each other very, very effectively as well. With the ants here, it's also reminding me of teamwork. Ants kind of remind me of teamwork. They all work for the hive, right? I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be very important amongst your children and your family, is like that sense of teamwork. So basically your love language is being truthful with each other and showing each other that you're deserving of love. That's something that's going to really bond both of you guys together. Now let's get into the children and where you will live. Let's start with where you will live first. I am seeing this wide open plain on this Two of Pentacles, like a far distance where the eye can't really see anything in the background. In the Page of Cups, I'm seeing the same thing, but with an ocean. It's funny, I am seeing a staircase here again, and I read that in group 1 as a 2-story house. So I definitely see that you guys could have a 2-story house, or you could live on a high peak or a high place looking down on other situations or environments. It's something that's coming through with the Six of Swords here. I am seeing that one or both of you might have to commute to work or something like that. They might have to commute a far way to work. So you might live in a location that's far away from other people, in the sense that you will have to commute back and forth between your job and where you live, basically. But with Two of Pentacles and this Page of Cups and the emptiness in the background, I'm seeing that there's this idea of like minimalism that you guys are going to live in your life. Like there's going to be the concept of like not having too many, like not being hoarders, essentially. I feel like you guys are going to live in a more minimalistic fashion, or not have a lot of decorations, or not have a lot of like kitschy type things in your house. I feel like you guys are going to live kind of like, I'm seeing like an elegant lifestyle, but like something where there's like, I'm seeing elegant, but also with the Hierophant here, I'm seeing his clothing and it looks really comfortable. So I'm feeling like comfortable is something that's important for you guys. I feel like the home life, even though there's not a lot of things inside the home, you guys have like just the furniture that you need, or just the kitchen that you need, or you have the things that you need and nothing more, nothing less. It's like you have what you need and you don't like hoard more things or less things. It's interesting because you have the Jupiter blessings here, which is interesting combination with that aspect of your living situation, because I am seeing that you are very abundant. So you guys might just make a lot of money as a couple, or you might rake in a lot of money, or just lucky experiences, because I am seeing, as far as like accumulation of like objects to put in your house, I feel like there's not too many that are going to be like in the home, basically. I do see this aspect of commuting to work that one of you has to do. There is this sense of like making a long commute. And I feel like because the Six of Swords is in reverse, it might be enjoyable for one of you to make the commute. Like it might be enjoyable, like you might enjoy the drive, or your spouse might enjoy the drive to go to work or something like that. But yeah, let's get into your children. For your first child, we have Firefly, and I feel like this child is like the little spark that's the spark among the family. Like this is the child that kind of it's interesting. I feel like they buzz around and appear one place to another. They kind of like pop in every once in a while. With the air symbol here, they like their freedom, they like space, they like to move around a lot. They might actually, once they get old enough, they might leave home for a while and then come back. And with the Six of Swords representing here in travel, I feel like they like to travel too. I feel like they dream about traveling. I feel like it's one of those things where when daddy or mommy goes to work and they leave the house, it's like when they're a little one and maybe like one of you stays home with the kids or something like that. Or maybe you both work and, the kids take care of themselves. I don't know. But basically with the Firefly, they dream of traveling with you to your job, or going with you on trips or something like that. Like they have this kind of wanting to explore and expand themselves. But at the same time, it's interesting with the Firefly and the light here. I feel like they're the light of the family. Like, I feel like with the wolf, the bear, and the swan, you have 3 other kids who are relatively serious and kind of weighty children. Yeah, your other children are kind of powerful, serious, and we have two earth signs and a water sign. So there's kind of slower moving energy among your other children. They're kind of, what I'm seeing too is like the Firefly child might be like the youngest, and these might be older children, is what I'm seeing. And the Firefly child just like bright, cheerful, like expansive, like, like fun and peppy and kind of like blasting around and kind of bringing life to the family, and these wolf, bear, and swan children might actually like smile or find entertainment in this Firefly. I feel like this Firefly kid is like the entertainment of the house or something like that. Like this Firefly kid kind of like provides the show. He's like the showstopper child, and he kind of goes off and does his own thing. And it's interesting because I see the family has more of a serious component to it, or serious nature, but this Firefly kid specifically has a really bright and cheerful energy that comes around in the family. With the wolf child, I am seeing this wolf child as someone who is going to be very, very busy. But at the same time, with the wolf card here, I'm reminded of someone who has a wolf pack. I feel like this wolf person has a few friends that they're very loyal to, and they have this kind of energy of like being the top dog or the top alpha child, if that makes sense. Now it's interesting because we also have the bear and the swan here, and I feel the bear and the swan are also big contenders to the wolf energy. So I feel like all 3 of these children are very equally large, kind of dominating, more serious children. I feel like it's interesting that you have 3 children coming out that are very similar personalities, right? There are differences among them. I'm going to talk about those, but they all have this sense of like weighty seriousness, kind of a sense of wisdom about all of them. Like they're the wise ones, they're the strong, silent type kind of vibe, where it's like this firefly child is so opposite. They're so peppy, and so energetic and so buzzing around basically. But a lot of these wolf, bear, and swan kids are very stable, I feel. They have like a stable, structured, earthy, kind of grounded energy. With the wolf child, they might have a lot of friends, or not necessarily, okay, sorry, I misspoke. Not a lot of friends, but they might have a few select friends, and they might be also very busy with these friends. They might go on a lot of adventures with these friends, or go on a little bit of missions or things with these friends. I feel like they have friends that are similar to the firefly child, like that kind of buzz around them and kind of hang around them, but they are kind of the one that's like that stoic version of leadership or something in their group. And with the 2 of Pentacles, I am seeing that they're very busy. They kind of always keep preoccupied. This is the type of child that might start work pretty early. They might want to get into a job pretty early. They might even want to skip college to get into a job. Even though I'm seeing they have a lot of wisdom and they do study a lot, it might be surprising actually to you guys with this child, because I feel like this child, even though they're like really smart and they actually did very well in school, they're like, no, I want to work. Or like, I want to start working right now, or I want to start doing this job, or I want to start doing this. I see that they're very independent and they should be allowed to do that. If you guys want that, because I feel like they could go back to school at any point in time. They're not going to lose their intelligence from not going to college, right? They're basically could go back to school at any time. They have this ability to kind of pick up where they left off, and they're very intelligent in general. But with the 2 of Pentacles, they want to start working. They want to get into action right away. With this bear child, I am seeing with the Page of Cups, this is interesting. I feel like this bear child has this ability to be surprised by like the smallest things, if that makes sense. And it's funny because I see this bear person as being very, very low-key, very playful. It's interesting. I feel like a lot of your children have this sense of seriousness and wisdom about them. I know I keep bringing that up, but it's just interesting because it's like the other personality features that are coming through are like 10% of their personalities, because otherwise they're all very similar. It's like all your children, all these 3 children have very similar personalities, but 10% of them is like the side that they maybe only show 10% at home, but then when they're out with their friends, they show like maybe 15 or 20%. They show a little bit more of that side of themselves amongst their friends, because when they're in the family, there's like this sense of unity that you guys have, where it's like this sense of knowing that you're all one, or that you're all one unit, if that makes sense. And so there is this sense of like, them kind of behaving and acting a specific way around you guys, which is interesting because with all 3 of these kids, I don't see them anything like your personalities, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys are weighty or serious or heavy people, but these are not characteristics that I see in you. I just see them in kind of like your children, basically. With the bear person, they have like this ability to be surprised by life, right? To like surprises and to like different things that are kind of surprising in that way. I feel like this bear person has a little bit of an intuition that they practice with their friends or with their friend groups. With the bear also being an animal that hibernates, I do feel that they might isolate themselves in a dream world, right? Once they... It's almost like if they don't get the surprises outside themselves, they isolate themselves in a dream world so they can self-generate the surprises in their head, if that makes sense. And so they can have this kind of playful inner world but if they go out in the outer world and they're not really getting surprised by the outer world, it's almost like this bear person has a sense of boredom about them when it comes to the outer world, especially if the outer world's not interesting or surprising enough or like vibrating at their frequency. It's like they want to just go within and kind of keep to themselves and imagine their own inner world, basically. It's kind of how I'm seeing them. Now, this swan person, on the other hand, I know if you guys have watched a few of my other readings and you've seen this swan card before, I always see the swan card as someone who is like easy and graceful on the surface, but like pedaling furiously underneath the surface, if that makes sense, and kind of gliding along. They're like beautiful, but you really, when you're looking at their reflection, you only see their reflection. You don't see anything deeper underneath, even though there is more to them underneath. That's where their legs are, and they're paddling and they're moving through the water, right? They're moving through that intuitive component. With the Hierophant here in reverse, I am saying this swan person is very like beautiful, but in an non-traditional way. So I feel like a lot of people like comment on their beauty, but the swan person might not actually see what makes them so beautiful, if that makes sense, which is interesting because people kind of only see this aspect of them. They're like, wow, you have such a unique look to you. There might be some unique beauty feature that this swan person has that not a lot of people have, but is really valued in society. And so I'm seeing that their beauty is really important. And with the Hierophant being in reverse, it's a non-traditional sense of beauty, right? It makes them stand out from the crowd and actually puts them in positions where people who are more traditional would not approach them, if that makes sense, because they have this kind of unique beauty. They don't have the kind of beauty that everyone wants. Basically, they have this sense of unique beauty that like people who are on the outskirts of society or people who are unique or different themselves are really attracted to this person's beauty. But with the Hierophant here, it's like all the people who are like more straight-laced, like rule focused, like parts of like organizations or larger groups, and they're kind of conformists. Those are the people that aren't going to be attracted to this person. I see that this person attracts a lot of unique, rebellious types that kind of want to get romantically involved with this person. With the swan person too, I feel like they have a really good intuition on their shoulders, and I feel like they have this ability to decipher who is the best type of person for them in the long run. And so you never have to worry about them picking people who are the wrong type of person for them. They always have a good intuition on their shoulders, and they know who to pick out of those people, because I'm seeing a lot of people that come to them that are attracted to them could be people with like weird or different personalities, or personalities that might not be the healthiest for this swan person, you know? And so I see that their intuition though always serves them well. You really don't have to worry about this child. They might have a lot of romantic partners over the years, but at the same time, those partners are being filtered through a very specific intuitive filter system, basically. You know, it's like they have, I'm thinking of like a cow, how it has 4 stomachs and it has to digest grass through these 4 stomachs. It's like they have to pass through all these different tests to get to this person and to get into an intimate situation with them. Yeah. I feel like the bear child is the most isolated of the bunch, although probably the most inclined to enjoy surprises or pleasantries. I feel like surprise birthday parties for the bear child would be very beneficial. If you threw them a surprise party, I feel like they'd be very happy about that. Any kind of surprises they really enjoy. Anything that's like not expected, they like. And this firefly kid is like the light of the house, basically. Like when they're in the house, it's like everyone kind of lights up and they kind of are the center of the show and they're the center stage and stuff like that. They want to kind of get into action and do things and stuff like that. But yeah, overall with the 4, there's definitely a sense of groundedness. Also with 3 and 1 adding up to 4, there's a sense of groundedness with your family, a sense of like, I want to say oneness. Like there's a sense of oneness between all of you. And with the Jupiter card, you have a very blessed family life. Like there's a lot of blessings, a lot of good things are going to happen to you guys. And with Libra, with partnerships, I definitely feel that there is a sense of harmony in the home. There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of calm that I'm sensing with your family. So look forward to all of that. I'm going to end the reading there. If you guys like this reading, feel free to like or comment below. If you really enjoyed this reading, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this once every 1 to 2 weeks. With that said, we're going to move on to the last group, group 4 with the Heliodor. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hey, group 4, this is if you picked the Heliodor. That kind of rhymed. Kind of. 4 Heliodor. Yeah, wait, 4 door, Heliodor. Yeah, it does rhyme. Okay, so last group for the night for me. And first group for you guys, because unless you pick 2 groups, that's always a possibility. But yeah, let's get into your reading. So we are going to draw 2 cards, one for, oh, wow. We have your spouse on one hand, Owl Spirit, you see clearly now. And we also have Lizard Spirit on the other hand, dream the world into being. And just want to let you know that if you relate more to being the owl spirit and you feel like the lizard spirit's more your spouse, the energies can be flipped in this kind of reading, but I am going to read as if you're the lizard spirit. So just keep that in mind. Don't feel attacked if I start, talking about you like you or them or whatever. So, okay, let's keep reading, or let's keep going. Let's get your cards for the love languages. How you guys have your love languages with each other. We're going to draw. We have the heart of the matter. There is more going on than meets the eye. And we also have the only thing that is real is love. Shift your focus back to love. I'm going to draw these animal oracle cards to represent your children in this connection, or possible future children. The way I'm doing this is, so far each group has gotten 4 children, but I'm taking the children as children that you might not, how do I put this? This card wants to come out. We have Panther. Children that you could have or you might not. If you decide not to have children, then these children won't come into being, basically. But these are possibilities of kids that you could have with your spouse. We also have Camel. And let's see what other children need to come through for this connection. This card is one. Oh, we have Owl. Weird. There's an owl up there. Owl spirit too. Interesting. Okay. Let's draw some tarot cards. This is going to represent where you're living and also some personality traits about your children. These cards and your children too are kind of representative of a double kind of energy. I'm gonna read for both both aspects with the same cards, basically. The 4 of Wands for the Owl, reverse. We have the Page of Pentacles for the Camel. We have the Devil for the Vulture, and we have the 5 of Swords for the Panther. I'm also going to roll these astro dice to get the general energies of your family. And I'll be pulling those throughout the reading or focusing on. It's funny that hit that star up there. The Mars card hit the star. I'm going to put it up there by the star, actually. And then we had, I think, oh, wow. I'm going to have to re-roll that because I didn't see what it was. Aquarius, okay. Aquarius, 7th house, and the Mars. Okay, let's see what we got. One thing I want to mention in the numerology is you both have 3s up here. So we have 43 and 38, and because I see 2 3s in those 2 numbers, the thing that's synergizing both you and your spouse's connection is this sense of creativity. You both might be artists or creative people, or people who are kind of focused on kind of creating or self-expression. I am seeing the Aquarius energy having an effect here. So the self-expression might be dealing with some kind of humanitarian kind of cause or something like that, or be more of a theatrical kind of artistic expression in general. We have a few other things here too. We have the 8 here, which is making me think of single-minded focus. And we have the 4 here, which is making me think of structure and security. It's interesting because the owl spirit, we have 43, right? The owl spirit is interesting because I see the owl or your spouse as someone who's very wise, someone who sees the situation clearly, right? They see what's going on that few other types do, right? They have that kind of keen intuition. On the other hand, we have you over here who also packs a punch in the manifestation component, right? I see that with Lizard Spirit, you have this ability to focus intently on the matter at hand with that kind of 8 there, and also dream the world into being, to the point where if you focus on something enough, you can easily manifest it into your life. It's like all you need to do is have that specific focus on that object or that objective that you have, and you can easily manifest it into your life. The other thing that I'm seeing with you is like, there's this component with the Lizard Spirit where you do have this sense of creativity about you. There's also this sense of like waiting for the right moment to act, if that makes sense. So even though you can manifest things easily into your life, you know how to wait for things to come into your life. You know how to kind of like be patient and wait for those aspects or different things to come into your world, basically. And with Dream the World into Being, you're using your focus and your mental abilities in order to achieve that. With the Owl Spirit, you see clearly now. I feel like this Owl Spirit sees you clearly and sees the situation clearly and sees life clearly, if that makes sense. I feel like the Owl Spirit is someone who doesn't really need to have a lot of experiences in this lifetime to know a lot of information about what is going on in this lifetime. This is the type of person who from a very young age was able to intuit things about their environment that other people just didn't have a clue about. They were like, whoa, how did that child know that? You know, how did that child know that this is happening or something like that? No one told this child that, like, you know, like that kid just picked up on it, you know? So I'm definitely seeing this as a very, that your spouse when they were young was very, very perceptive. It's interesting because we also have Owl over here as one of your children, and I'll get into that connection in a little bit. But overall, you have your spouse as someone who can really see clearly, has a strong intuition. With the royal crown on the owl's head, I definitely see this person as having a little bit of a attitude, you know, like kind of like a higher than thou kind of attitude towards others sometimes. They just feel like they are the prince or princess of their world, if that makes sense. Let's get into your guys' love language, though. One thing I'm just really drawn to before I even read the love languages, I'm getting this Mars energy is coming through in the love languages. So I am feeling that you guys might work through some kind of aggressive tendencies with each other in a very loving way. So it's like if one of you gets really angry at the other one or something like that, the other one responds in a very loving and caring way. It's like one person who's out of control, the other one's really in control and calm and knows what's going on, right? We also see the 7 here with this sense of partnerships. I am seeing that your guys' connection, you and your future spouse, that is really the most important thing in your life. I feel that when I was mentioning this earlier, that you guys, you know, with the children thing, I didn't really bring this up in the other groups, but I was saying if you want to have children, this is the possibilities of the kids you could have. But for the most part, I'm seeing you guys get into a relationship, not based on the desire to have kids, but based on the desire that you just love each other that much. You love each other so deeply that you don't. And I feel like with the 3 here, I feel like your creativity is kind of one of the bonds for your love as well. Like the fact that you can both be creative together and work on projects together and kind of really express that side of yourself is really like coming through. But yeah, like I was saying, you guys, your bond is the first thing that comes first. It's like, you know, in your connection. Maybe that changes when you have children. Maybe your children become more important once you have them. But when you guys are coming together and the fact that you're meeting, it's like when you're coming to this reading, you're probably thinking like, okay, I'll watch it. I don't know about the children part or something like that. You know, I feel like, or even, for example, if you really do want children, you came to this reading, you're like, no, I want to hear about the children part. You know, what I'm seeing is that when you meet your spouse, they are going to be the ones that matter the most. You're going to forget about kids for a while. It's like you really just get enamored with them and kind of just want to be with them all the time, if that makes sense. You almost want to prolong that honeymoon period is what I'm seeing. And there's kind of that sense with the Aquarius here of that freedom and sense of independence and wanting to be like non-attached. That I'm seeing is like something that is kind of coming into your vibe as well. Let's get into your love languages. I mean, I'm feeling called to pull in this Mars energy with the love languages, so I'm curious to see how that unfolds. Yeah, okay, what I'm seeing with the heart of the matter, there's more going on than meets the eye. That's really connected with this owl spirit person and the fact that they can actually see things beyond what's going on. I feel like, for an example, when you guys, get into fights with people, you might know, I don't know if you know this about yourselves, but sometimes it's like you might be bothered about something else and then you decide to pick a fight on something different than what you were bothered about. It's like maybe, someone like was really bothering you by like something they said last week and it's just been like really on your nerves, but you really didn't want to confront them about it. Maybe what they said was true or something like that, and you were just like, well, they still shouldn't have said it, but I don't know how to confront them about it. Anyway, point being is you pick a fight with them about something else, like you didn't do the dishes, like you need to do the dishes more or something like that. I'm not saying these are your actual fights, these are just examples, but there is this element of like you picking a fight with something that's not necessarily what what the real issue is. And I see this owl person, it takes someone to really look into you and say like, is that what the real issue is? Or is the real issue you did this? And I see you kind of don't want to like be the first one to say what's really bothering you, if that makes sense. You want someone to kind of see into you and kind of see what's going on without you having to like truly like just lay it out and tell them point blank. It's like you want people to pick up on the vibe. And for the most part, I feel like this owl person doesn't really confront you with these things either. It's like they see it and then they know how to maneuver the argument because they see the core issue in their mind. They know in their intuition this is not really what it's about. This is a side fight, and they kind of see, through the situation basically. And so at the heart of the matter, there's more going on than meets the eye. This is kind of, in a sense, your guys' relationship to outsiders might seem complicated because you might try to get advice about your relationship. Say you're in the beginning stage of courting and you're trying to get advice from others. First of all, I would not recommend that because with this kind of connection, you guys are really the only ones who know what's going on, especially in this kind of connection with, the owl spirit and the lizard spirit. It's like you're the only ones that know what's going on in your connection. Even though the connection can get aggressive at times, it's important that both of you communicate with the Aquarius card, communication and working through those issues together and not focus on outside perspectives or outside people dealing with those situations. Because I feel like there's some maneuvering that needs to happen and some kind of, right here, maneuvering. The only thing that is real is love. Shift your focus back to love. I feel like that's the key that you guys need to learn, is to shift your focus back to this loving vibration, this loving nature. Because I feel like that's the key to your guys' partnership success. It's like, you kind of start to realize why you initially loved each other. And it's like I said, it's like when one of you is mad, the other one just responds super calmly and super patiently. And it's kind of just like always there for them. If that makes sense. It's like, even if the issue is something you don't understand, or even if your partner has an issue that you don't understand, it's like, you're still going to be patient. You're going to be calm. You're going to communicate. You're in this together. Even though there's aggression coming up in your connection, no matter what, one of you is always the calm one, oh my gosh, why do I get these messages? I just kind of got the message that, one of you is always the calm one, but not necessarily in the bedroom or in your sex life. Anyway, sometimes those come through. Anyway, so let's get into your where you're going to live and your children. One thing that I'm seeing, the two things that I'm seeing as far as like where you're going to live that are kind of coming up to me. With the Devil card here, I feel you guys are going to live somewhere where there's a lot of entertainment or things to do, like shopping, eating out, like going out and drinking, movies, a lot of like stuff to like kind of drown your sorrows basically, or kind of like things that you like normal people could get addicted to. I feel like you guys have a lot of activities going on. With the Four of Wands over here, I'm seeing parties and celebrations is a big deal. And so you guys might live in a place where there's a lot of access to like festivities or like parties. So you might live in like a tourist town where like there's lots of festivals that are held there, or events that are held in this town or something like that. So there's a lot of tourists that come through is what I'm seeing. With Page of Pentacles, with the woods here, you could live in the mountains. But for the most part, I am seeing city life because of all the entertainment and all the activities that are going on. I am seeing you guys live in the city or somewhere where there's a lot to do. There's somewhere where there's a lot to do. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of like things going on, basically. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I see anything else. That was a really quick one for where you're going to live. I think that mainly where you guys are going to live is not as important as the rest of the reading. I'm going to be honest, because I'm not picking up too much information about it. I wasn't getting too many signs about it. So I feel like there's more important things, maybe when we get into your children and what your children's personalities are. So yeah, if you guys came to this read, whether you're the first group I mentioned where you don't know if you're going to have children and you kind of just want to hear about you and your spouse, or if you're the types that really want children, but you might find that you want more time with your spouse when you meet them, these are your children. So with the first child, I want to point out we have the owl card, right? So this is a child that wants a lot of freedom, right? You have 2 air sign children and 2 fire sign children. Now that could be their actual signs, and I feel called to say that in this reading just because we have Aquarius energy here, and we have the lizard spirit, which I always associate with the King of Wands, and the owl spirit, which I kind of associate with air and like intuition as well, but also air element, right? So I am feeling called to say that there might be a lot of air and fire sign like vibes in this kind of connection as far as like energies that are in this connection. But let's get back to your children. So with the owl spirit card and the 4 of Wands, we have this child that is just like your spouse, or if you're relating more to this as being you in the reading and this is your spouse, then they're a lot like you. But this is a person who's a lot like this owl spirit, and this owl spirit is very similar. It's like the reason the same animal came out in it twice is because this child is almost identical to your spouse. Like they have a lot of the same habits, they act the same way, they eat the same foods, they do the same things, they like the same activities. When this spouse looks at this child, it's like seeing themselves when they were a kid, basically. It's like there's so many similarities. Now, on one hand, that's good for the family unit because I am seeing that this owl child is really going to grow up knowing and having a good example to follow in life and really live off of that. But there could be some rebelliousness in the sense that they want to be their own person and not be associated with their father or mother. They might, especially with that freedom energy, they might want to feel like they want to be their own person or something like that, or they might want to go off and do their own things or have their own activities. So I feel like at one point, even though they're literally like the same person, basically, they might actually go off and have separate lifestyle activities than this spouse. I don't really see them kind of working together on the same thing. I see them wanting kind of more of their independence from each other in the long run, or at least this child wants their independence. That might be a slight point of contention between your spouse and this child. I feel like for the most part, you and this child are really, really going to get along because it's going to be like, you're going to see both of them from the outside, and it's almost like you're going to be the mediator of the situations between them, basically. Yeah, it's really interesting how that happens. It's like it's interesting. You might actually have a child where you're like naming them junior, or like, for example, if you're, senior so-and-so, they're going to be junior so-and-so or so-and-so junior or something like that. But with 4 of Wands, I am seeing this owl child is more serious in nature because the 4 of Wands is in reverse. But I'm still seeing them liking to go out and celebrating and having parties and having a good time and indulging. We have this again here with the Devil card, which kind of reminds me of like your whole family's vibe, is they all like to go out and do things. They like activity, they like action, they like going and doing things. They like the freedom to expand and to roam. There's that impulsive, fiery nature. I feel like there's a lot of like indulgence with the Devil card that a lot of your family is kind of like really into doing. I feel like you as a couple, you guys like to indulge as well. And there's a lot of activity too with the Mars energy. It's not necessarily indulging, like, like constantly just eating crappy food or something like that. It's like with the Mars energy, it's like there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of kind of like energy in this connection. And so I feel like your family not only enjoys like those sensual pleasures, but they enjoy like sports, activities. They enjoy, the things that are coming to mind are like axe throwing at like bars or something like that, or like snowboarding or something like that. There's a solid amount of action with your guys's connection, and that kind of blends into your family. I feel like activity is very important for everyone, and kind of doing things all the time is important. Yeah, I'm not going to get too much more into the owl person because they're going to be a lot like your spouse, and I already covered your spouse a little bit. So they're just very similar. They might actually look very similar too. They might be like the spitting image of your spouse or something like that. And so they might have a lot of like things where people are like, oh my gosh, they look just like their father or something like that, or they look just like their mother. So there's that. The next child with the camel child with the moon card represented here, I see that this child is somewhat intuitive in the way that they speak because the moon is blue here. And we have that fiery creature, that fire impulsiveness. And so I am seeing that they kind of, with the camel and the humps, I feel like camels have, from what I remember reading, camels on their humps, that's where they hold their water, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I would like to know. But for this example and this reading, I feel like this person holds their intuitive insights inside them. They kind of hold them back. And then when the right moment comes, with, like, you know how camels spit? It's like they say their comment, like they say their comment at the right time. Now, the thing is, I am seeing that this is not necessarily a negative thing. It's not like they're saying mean things or angry things or anything like that. It's like they see this kind of intuitive nugget or truth. Usually with Page of Pentacles, it's going to be some kind of like business proposition, or it's going to be something along the lines of something they want to study or learn, or some new thing, or some kind of new thing that's in the environment or something like that. And they have this nugget that they've been holding onto for a while, and then they finally say it, you know, they finally kind of spit it out. And it's kind of dealing with the throat chakra in that realm. So for the most part, I feel like this camel person's like really good at trends, or knowing where things are going to go, or see how the world is going to respond to certain energies. You know, they have a good mind, business mind, and specifically a visionary business mind. Like they have this ability to kind of see where things are going, and also see what kind of business proposition should be acted upon. They're very pragmatic, even though they have like that fiery energy, they have that impulsive side. Underneath that impulsiveness and in their mind, they have this kind of pragmatic sense to them, where they kind of have like a business savvy to them, if that makes sense. Your third child, the vulture child with the devil here, this is the child that is the instigator of all the shenanigans. I feel like when this child's the one who wants to go party. This is the child who wants to go snowboarding. This is the child who wants to, I feel like when this child comes of age and they're ready to be sexually active, they're going to have a very active sex life. The thing is with this child, they want a lot of freedom to do things, but they're the type that's going to pull the family with them into their activities, basically. We have that here with the devil with the puppet strings right here. I feel like this child is manipulative in the sense that they will get the family to do certain activities by like maneuvering around and like pitching the idea to different family members, basically. And so one thing that I am seeing is that they have kind of like habits or negative habits. They might be the most addictive type of all the family members, even you guys included. They might actually have the most addictive personality. So this is a child that you want to definitely teach early about the dangerous effects of like drugs and stuff like that before they get out into the world, and like let them know these things, you know, because I see that they could pick up some bad habits that might be hard to get rid of. But besides that, they're a lot of fun. They like to enjoy life. They are a little manipulative. They have a darker side to them. The vulture person has a darker side to them. I feel like they will pick an issue until it is bone dry, basically. And that's just basically saying that, like, if they really enjoy popcorn or something like that, and they're eating a bucket of popcorn, they will pick the last kernel out of that bucket and they will finish it like all the way to the end, basically. They don't really waste food. They don't really waste anything. Even though they have that kind of addictive personality, they don't really waste anything that they have going on. So this is not the type of person you want to give, like, you know, you want to give kind of like let's take the popcorn, for example. You don't want to give this child like a lifetime supply of popcorn, you know, like all in one go, because they will eat the whole thing all the way to the last kernel of the popcorn, and just so they don't waste it. You know, they don't want to waste anything. They want to get rid of it or eat it or deal with it or do it as soon as they think of it, because they don't want it to go to waste, basically. With the last child, with the panther child, I am saying this is your most aggressive child, or strong child. I feel like this child is specifically going to want to do a lot of sports, want to get into a lot of activity. They're very impulsive as well. Although I am seeing, compared to the flying sign, the cards that want a little bit more freedom, like the owl and the vulture, and even more than the camel, they are very committed in their connections. I see that in their eyes with the heart chakra shining through in their eyes. They have a sense of commitment to their friends and to their close ones. They're loyal as hell. This Panther spirit person is very loyal, and they have this ability to be aggressive and impulsive, but they're not impulsive in their relationships. Like, they're definitely committed. This is the type of person who, when they have a friend, they're going to keep that friend for life, basically. And now it might not be easy to be their friend, because with the Five of Swords here, we see that they, cause a little bit of consternation in their environment because of their kind of behavior, their presence, their strong presence, basically. I see that in the long run, though, with this card kind of representing this Five of Swords, this guy has a headache, and this guy in the back with victory, and this bird representing time. It's like, in the long run, people really appreciate this person and feel really comfortable around them and victorious with them. I feel like they really like this person because they're always winning. They're always the top dog. They're always the top person in any kind of competition. And they truly, deeply love the people that are their friends. So that's really good about them. This is your person you want to put into sports because they have that strong component. They're just going to be born strong. Like, their body's going to look strong. They're going to be that child that's maybe bigger than other kids or something like that. Although I don't see them bullying any kids too much. They do have a way of causing headaches in others because they're very forceful, but I don't see them as mean necessarily. They're forceful, but not mean. I don't know how better to describe that combination. They're just more protective than aggressive, if that makes sense. But they do act on their aggression in like sports and competitive games and stuff like that. I feel like that's when it shines through. And the thing about this child too, you don't have to teach them like where to put their aggression. They're going to naturally know the right place to put their aggression because they have a good head on their shoulders, basically. The last thing I want to mention about this Panther child, they might have a little bit of an ego. They might think they're the shit or the hottest thing that hit town or something like that. They might have a little bit of an ego about them, but I don't think that is really that dangerous when it comes to them because they're such a good person in general that I don't think the ego thing matters too much. With the Aquarius sign popping up here, the main thing I'm seeing, this air sign aspect of freedom and kind of your whole family wanting a lot of freedom or space from each other. I do see a lot of like combustible personalities all under one roof. So I definitely see you guys might want to have a bigger house or a place where you live with a lot of space, especially if you plan on having 4 children. If you're probably having like 1 or 2, you can get away with a small house, but I am seeing like a lot of space needed for this kind of energy of this family. Like, there's a lot of energy going on with this type of vibe, with this kind of family life. And like I said, with the 7 right here, I don't even see you guys, once you meet your spouse, I don't even see you caring about family for the longest time because honestly, it's almost like you just want to be with each other. I think that your family might happen on accident, to be honest. And you might just decide like at that spur of the moment, like, you know what, we're going to have a family, I definitely see with a lot of activity, there's a lot of energy with this family dynamic. And the most important thing with this kind of love language is like figuring out what's really going on and shifting the energy back into a loving vibration when the energy gets a little aggressive, basically, which I see comes really naturally to you guys. It's not like it's going to be effort or anything like that, or you're going to have to really work on it. I see it comes kind of naturally. I'm going to end the reading there. With that said, I really enjoyed reading for you. If you like this reading, please like or comment below. If you really enjoyed this reading, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this once every 1 to 2 weeks. With that said, we are going to move on to the end of the reading because there's no more groups. So I loved reading for you guys today. It was such a blast, and I will see you guys in the next pick a card. Bye.